There is a silence, deeper than words, louder than sound. It arrives not with thunder, but like the soft flickering of a candle before it fades. We are taught how to live, but rarely are we taught how to see when life is gently preparing to leave. Today, we speak of something sacred, not morbid, not fearful, sacred, the signs that an elderly person may be nearing the final chapter of their story, not to cause worry, but to awaken awareness, to honor the present, and to prepare the heart. When life begins to approach its end, it rarely makes a dramatic entrance. There are no sirens, no sudden declarations. Instead, the process is subtle, like the gradual fading of daylight into dusk. Death does not knock loudly, it slips in quietly, often unnoticed by those too distracted to observe. For the elderly, the final year of life is not always marked by a single event, but by a gentle decline, an unspoken transition that unfolds over time. It is not a fall off a cliff, but a slow descent down a familiar path. This quiet arrival can be seen in small moments, when someone who once rose early and moved with purpose now lingers in bed longer, needing more rest. When laughter grows softer, conversation shorter, and the once fiery eyes now gaze more inwardly than outward. These are not moments to fear but to recognize. The signs are often so quiet that unless we are truly present, we may miss them. A fading appetite, a softening voice, a longer pause before speaking, these are the body's gentle ways of preparing for release. But our society fears death so deeply that we look away, deny what we see, and avoid the truth. Yet in doing so, we miss the sacredness of this passage. The final chapter of life carries its own beauty, a calm, a clarity, a sense of returning to what is essential. When we learn to recognize the stillness, the slowing, the softness that arrives, we begin to honor death not as an intruder, but as a natural part of the journey. Being aware of this quiet transformation allows us to respond with grace, patience, and love, rather than shock or regret. And that awareness is a gift both for the one departing and for those who remain. As the body begins to near the end of its journey, its language changes. What may appear as physical weakness is often much more than simple aging. It is a sign of surrender, not of defeat, but of deep acceptance. When an elderly person begins to sleep more, eat less, and move with increasing difficulty, it is not just the body slowing down. It is the soul beginning to release its grip on the physical world. The natural drive to survive, to strive, to do, starts to dissolve. The hunger for food fades, but so does the hunger for plans, schedules, and distractions. This is not depression, and it is not giving up. It is a sacred transformation that many fail to see for what it truly is. The decline is not random. It often begins with the body saying it is time to rest. Muscles weaken, balance becomes fragile, and energy fades more quickly than before. The person may seem tired all the time, even after doing very little. Their movements become slower, more deliberate, and sometimes even painful. But beneath this surface of fatigue is something quieter, a peaceful letting go. The physical body is no longer interested in resisting time. It is aligning itself with nature's rhythm, a rhythm that calls everything eventually back to stillness. This physical shift is often accompanied by a calmness, even a quiet wisdom. The person may not speak much, but their silence carries weight. They are not clinging to what was, they are beginning to embrace what is coming. And when we can witness this without fear, when we see the strength it takes to let go, we realize that this so-called weakness is in fact a powerful surrender, full of dignity and grace. When an elderly person begins to withdraw from the world around them, it is easy to mistake it for sadness, isolation, or even cognitive decline. But in many cases, this quiet retreat is not a sign of emotional suffering. It is a spiritual preparation. As the end of life nears, the attention that was once focused outward begins to turn inward. Conversations that once sparked interest may no longer seem necessary. Social gatherings that once brought joy may now feel overwhelming or irrelevant. There is a deep internal shift happening, one that cannot always be explained in words. It is a turning towards silence, reflection, and peace. This process is natural. Just as a tree sheds its leaves before winter, a person nearing their final season lets go of worldly noise and distractions. They may spend more time alone, not out of loneliness, but because solitude begins to feel more nourishing. They may not respond as quickly, not because they are distant, but because their awareness is slowing down, aligning with something deeper. The mind starts to release attachments, the roles, expectations, and even memories, preparing to cross into a state beyond form. To those around them, this emotional withdrawal can be confusing or painful. But it is important not to rush in to fix it. What may appear as distance is actually a return to essence, to stillness, to presence. If we can learn to honor this process rather than resist it, we offer something sacred, acceptance. We allow them the space to move inward with dignity, and in doing so, we recognize that their quietness is not emptiness. It is full of meaning. It is the soul's way of making peace with the final journey, and it is worthy of deep respect. The human body is not just flesh and bone, it is a messenger. It carries within it a wisdom far deeper than what we often acknowledge. As an elderly person approaches their final year, the body begins to speak in quiet, consistent ways. These are not merely medical symptoms, they are sacred messages. The body knows when its time is drawing near. It starts to shift, not just in how it functions, but in how it relates to the world. Movements become slower, balance becomes more delicate, and fatigue sets in more quickly. But this is not random. It is the body gently preparing for release. Changes in breathing patterns, a sudden loss of weight, or a coolness in the extremities are all part of this communication. The body doesn't panic, it simplifies. Systems begin to shut down, not in crisis, but in order. Just like a candle burning down to its last glow, the body dims with grace. This process reflects a deeper intelligence, a natural rhythm that guides all living things through their final transition. The body is not fighting anymore, it is cooperating with nature, and in that cooperation lies a great peace. When we learn to see these signs not as failures, but as forms of wisdom, everything changes. We stop trying to fix what isn't broken. We begin to listen instead of resist. This shift in perspective allows us to meet our loved one with presence rather than panic. The body, in its own way, teaches us how to surrender. It models how to exit this life with calm, with softness, and with truth. The more we attune ourselves to this quiet language, the more we understand that death is not an enemy, it is a return, and the body is the first to know the way. When we begin to recognize the signs that someone may be nearing the end of their life, something within us shifts. The noise of everyday life fades, and we are called into a deeper kind of presence. Awareness becomes a gift, one that allows us to see not just what is changing, but what truly matters. In this space of awareness, we are given a chance that not everyone receives, the chance to be fully present, to sit quietly beside someone we love, and to walk with them gently through their final chapter. It is in this awareness that moments become sacred. A quiet hand held in silence means more than 1,000 words. A soft smile shared across the room carries the weight of years. These are not ordinary interactions. They are blessings that only exist because we were awake enough to notice. When we ignore or deny the signs, we risk letting time slip away. Words that need to be said are left unsaid. Goodbyes are rushed or missed entirely. But when we choose awareness, we offer our loved one more than care. We offer connection. We show them, without needing to speak, that we are here fully, completely. We witness them not as a patient, not as someone fading, but as a whole person, worthy of deep respect and unconditional love. Being present doesn't require grand gestures, it requires simplicity. It means slowing down, listening without interrupting, and choosing presence over distraction. It means accepting that we cannot change the outcome, but we can change how we meet it. And in that meeting, we create peace, not only for the one who is leaving, but for ourselves as well, because presence, when offered in love, becomes a final act of grace. To honor the end of life is to truly honor the life itself. Often, people focus so much on avoiding the thought of death that they miss the chance to give it meaning. But death is not a failure. It is the final expression of the journey, a moment just as sacred as birth. When an elderly person begins to show signs of approaching their final year, there is an invitation being offered. It is not an invitation to grieve prematurely, but to recognize the beauty in closure, to cherish the essence of who they are while they are still here, and to speak the words that only feel urgent when time is short. This awareness allows us to act with intention. It helps us offer love, forgiveness, and gratitude, not after they are gone, but while they are still able to receive it. So much of the fear surrounding death comes from resistance. But when we embrace it as a natural part of life, we stop resisting and start honoring. We begin to understand that this final phase is not about what is lost, but about what remains. It is a time for gentle presence, for meaningful connection, for remembering the moments that made their life unique. We don't need to pretend they will live forever. We simply need to remind them that their life mattered, that their story is complete, and that they are loved exactly as they are. In doing so, we don't only give peace to the one departing, we give peace to ourselves. We no longer carry the weight of things left undone or unsaid. Instead, we carry the gift of knowing we stood beside them with presence, with love, and with open hearts. That is the highest form of honoring a life.